This is Dragon Shire, where you control the shrines, free the Dragon Knight, and then devastate the enemy forts. Abathur sometimes does the first one. This isn't his best map. But, like all maps, he doesn't have to actually start walking. The rest of them, well, they can take time, but they do need to move. No, Abathur just jumps out of the gate. And this guy over here, we are fortunate enough to have an Abathur on the other team to compare to. He really doesn't need to be moving right now. But we'll see. He has a slightly different plan. Plan that I think has some drawbacks compared to what he could be doing. He could be deep tunneling out here, and if you do it right as the game starts, right as Locust Spawn unlocks, then the Locust will spawn on the other side of the deep tunnel, and so you get to run out and see. Zeratul manages to evade detection there, almost. But we can see, okay, their Abathur is also roughly in this lane. Got off some free damage. And, of course, we're farther forward. Now, they have both Nova and Zeratul. That is a lot of stealth that might like to go and kill Abathur, so it's definitely a game to be conservative in Abathur placement. And, in fact, since we have Zeratul as well, that's probably why their Abathur is back here. He's not wanting to go out, worried about the Zeratul. However, it's a little too early to get stealth kills on Abathur. If they wanted to get a stealth kill on Abathur before level 4, then they're going to need both of them to come up and hit Abathur at the same time. That's just not going to be worth it for their team, all that investment. Now, I think that at level 4 they actually can start to focus Abathur down with the burst, depending on which talent they get. At level 7, definitely start being cautious. But in this case, no one's anywhere near level 4. Without that extra talent and those extra levels, Abathur is fairly safe. Just be close enough to the fountain that you can tap it if they get you nearly down. And then you're fine. And of course, here, trying to help our ally escape with Carapace. Doesn't quite work. You'll see that after they get to level 7, we're sitting back farther than this in a safer location. Very similar to this one, because with the mine placement, the main place you want to mine is around here. These are great vantage points of when people are moving top and bottom. People like to sit in them waiting for the Dragon Shrine, and of course with the mine on the Dragon Shrine you can delay enemy collection. So really you want to be make sure you have this area able to be placing toxic nests, and so back here or here you can get toxic nests in those critical vision points, as well as in some other useful places around the map. Now, we haven't had time yet to talk about the talent picks, and the talent picks from both Abathurs. Bit unusual. We're going for spike damage. Now, I rarely go this build, but it's a good choice for when the enemy team has so much stealth and an Abathur, so you don't need so much to be contributing, giving them the edge in those team fights. They're already a fairly weak team fight composition. And you do want to be out pushing the other Abathur to keep him from wearing you down. But with all that stealth, you're not going to be too far forward. So we don't focus on the Locusts. We avoid the Locust talents because we might be pushed so far back that the Locusts don't do anything. And by getting the Spike Burst, we get a nice burst of spikes when we are hitting these big minion waves, and it helps us clear the minion waves. This does mean you're using Carapace slightly differently. It's not like you've removed all the value of Carapace for helping your team, but there's a lot more focus on using it for minion waves, and we'll get back to that in a moment. Here, note how I'm walking forward against Nova. This is a risky move, just trying to bait them forward for a gank. We were confident that Zeratul wasn't around, and we'll probably head back after that after showing ourselves. But it's just something to keep in mind that Abathur can sometimes bait bad players into making bad decisions. So that's your other superpower. And now we're going to go back. This mine placement, good, helps you see if they're going to be trying to take the shrines, or if they're lying in wait for you to do that. A bit close to the shrine. Ideally we want something giving you more advanced notice, like these bushes here. But there isn't a great place for that at the bottom shrine. So that's probably the best that they can do. That you can do with Abathur is those mine placements here. So a point to bring up about mine placement is that you really want it more for vision than the damage. The damage is roughly equivalent to a normal hero auto attack, which if you're doing all that setup and you only get 1 or 2, it's not usually going to be critical. But what you can do with them is get vision. They're really one of the better equivalents of sentry wards in this game. So make sure you have them in places where you want to have vision. And of course, try and use up the charges so you can have the maximum amount of nests out on the field. With using up the charges, the normal way to use Symbiote is to pop on, unleash your full combo, and then pop off. So waiting for a second spike burst, it's actually going to be faster to cancel Carapace, to cancel Symbiote, and then after 4 seconds jump on again. That takes a spike burst cooldown down to 4. So it is actually better to jump off them normally, but the exception to that is when you're trying to push the lane. As you can see with our unusual talent picks here, spikes, needle spine, and they have the spikes and regenerative microbes. You're going to want to be on the minions soaking XP in the lane. So you don't just jump on, unleash your combo for maximum damage and survivability, but you're going to want to jump on, unleash your combo, and then stay around killing things for extra experience points. Now here, when you've got a dragon and you've got level 10 first, definitely use your ult to help get a major victory from that team fight. Not so much cause to save the ult for objectives in this map. I mean, if you win the team fight in the dragon, you really just want them down, so probably saving it more for team fights on this map. And of course, pick someone with higher damage. The Tychus, Sonya, and Zeratul, all good choices for cloning on this map. Now here, we can see using it for pushing. Normally, that's your presence in team fights, and I do come back trying to add a little bit of help to that team fight. But with this symbiote build, it's doing a lot of anti-minion damage because we took the non-heroic damage buff, we took the spike burst buffs that don't do quite so much against individual heroes, and then we want to be in the lane soaking XP, kind of like that. So as you can see, Abathur on their side going back even farther because we pushed down the wall. Because we've got all our walls up, it's fine for me to be up here and get better Toxic Nest range and slightly better Locust placement, but remember, we're not going for a Locust focus build. In fact, at level 13, you'll see that we're getting another non-Locust sound, which will be the stab charges. And the stab charges allows you to get just an additional bit off when you're going to be sticking on the minions. As I said, if you're staying on it, trying to finish off waves for XP, then you want the stab charges to be able to more quickly take out a couple more minions who will be low on health from your spike burst. But we're not dealing great amounts of damage in the team fight with these talent picks. You can see we're still trying to help, still trying to keep Lily alive, but this is much more of a soaking lanes and pushing talent pick set. So you can see that Abathur is much more siege damage than hero damage in this case. While discussing the shrines here, note that this shrine was undefended, and we'd seen pretty much everyone team fight before. That is an opportunity for Abathur to steal the shrines, but be very careful about it, and certainly don't steal the shrine and ult from up there. If I had deep tunneled up here to grab the shrine before Vala got there, then I would be in ult form from spawning up there. As soon as this dies, I go back up here, Vala instantly kills me. So always try and ult from a safe location, and if you feel you're going to be using your ult soon for a team fight, just stay safe behind the wall, especially when they have the double stealth combo, or even a single stealth. Because, as I mentioned, you need a map awareness to be able to make the call of it's safe to jump up here and call it and cap it. And the map awareness comes from seeing them on the mini-map recently. But the stealth characters don't show up on the mini-map nearly as much. So it's very hard to see them recently on the mini-map if they're prowling around. And if you don't see them, just play it safe, and there's really no escape for Abathur from these. Yes, they don't have any stun, but they can both burst you down fast, and you can deep tunnel out if you're caught out. So just be careful in those cases. So, as you can see, both Abathurs, very cautious build. He also took the symbiote stab and staying far back. Now, with the Dragon Shrine, which is not up yet, something to point out is that you can grab the shrines if you're cautious, but you never actually grab the dragon itself. Not unless you're confident that you're going to win the game with that push, because unlike the Terror, there is just no escape with the dragon. You can knock away one person, and then after that, you're going to die. So the dragon is either a death sentence for Abathur or a wasted dragon. The Garden Terror has abilities that allows you to escape, but the dragon does not. And note that while this might be a good time to grab a hard camp, with these abilities, you can't actually solo the hard camp. We've got the envenomed spikes for getting even more out of that increased range spike burst, slowing down enemies and supporting escapes, but there's just not any abilities that would allow us to tank the Nice well enough to be able to solo the camps. So yeah, not going to be grabbing camps with this spike burst build. You're just going to be pushing lanes, soaking XP, and helping out your team a little. You can see the Zeratul checking the lane with the Locust, seeing if he can find Abathur, but we're back safely behind the wall. So he can't make anything happen there. And of course you can also use defensive mine placement. We don't see that so much in this game because with two stealth characters, I'm just not risking it. I've gone for a build that doesn't require me to be forward, and then I stay very safely back. So Zeratul Cloak, can't see him, not a good time to go try and steal that shrine. If Zeratul dies, it might be. Let's see if they can secure that kill. Nope. But you can see everyone is staying fairly back with regard to the Abathur until we ult in. Now Zeratul, good damage and burst, and the cloak actually is nice because they would never suspect a second cloak character, or at least sometimes they don't. But Void Prison is hard to use. This was a very easy case of they're trying to have a fleeing hero, hold her down so the team can catch up. Otherwise, cloning Zeratul can be quite tricky to get right, whereas cloning Tychus and using the Odin much simpler and easier. So generally recommend with picking on Tychus for cloning in this comp. Now with Zeratul dead and Nova known, this could be a case to again jump down and steal the shrine, but you don't really need to do that as much as Abathur, not when they have people up and your team's already heading there. So we will be stealing a shrine later, but it's not something that Abathur is doing particularly often, especially, as I said again, in this team comp, and never take the dragon. So now the team's pushing there. I'm going to try and help where we can, like in a mirror matchup there, one-on-one. The extra bit of help from the symbiote can really push things around. And with your symbiote, you generally want to try and jump onto people and assist when it's a close fight, when they're really low on health, and that extra bit of carapace might keep them alive for seconds longer. Or when it's a mirror matchup one-on-one, where they're going to be really closely matched, and that extra edge will provide a kill or an escape. So, yes, generally try and save symbiote for where it will make an actual difference. And in this case, when they have 3 or 4 chasing down. Well, they have the ultimate, but they might not need the symbiote nearly so much as pushing the minion, the waves. Which, as I said, this is a wave pushing symbiote build. And remember, you soak XP while you're symbioted on them. So in that case, you want to stay in symbiote on one of the more farther back minions. You're using the Spike Burst range talent to get the Spike Bursts to hit even from like the Wizard minion. And then you can just hold on to the XP. You can see there, grabbing on a Locust or a minion when the enemy is running by, you can chip away at their health quite a bit, force them back. Sometimes you can secure a kill from that, but often with the minions you're just using the stab to wear down the heroes when they're away from the supports, force them back or force them to have less available when they get to the fight. And if we're pushing this out with the team fight, a good time to jump in and clone Zeratul. Again, one of the reasons I'm cloning Zeratul is that when you have Abathur Zeratul sort of mirror match, Zeratul can jump in and kill Abathur as we've suggested. I mean, he's looking for it. He shouldn't have done that. If you symbiote him, you're just giving away the position. But this, you're going to die. There's no escape. But Zeratul can burst him down quickly. So the ultimate evolution form is a great way to go in, kill Abathur, and all you lost was sacrificial clone. Often, it's very risky for Zeratul to get Abathur when he's way back here. I mean, by here you really should have been inside the Hall of Storms. There's no reason to be just on the steps. But he probably went there because he tried to place an Envenom nest that was slightly out of range, and then he'll automatically move. But if you're farther up forward, and it's risky for Zeratul to go in, he might not risk it. But the Abathur clone definitely can do that, and that's the one time I would recommend Abathur cloning Zeratul or Nova. Note that it wasn't just use your ult to kill Abathur, it was join in for the team fight, then use the remaining time to hunt Abathur. So that's a fun thing to do in the Abathur mirror matchups when the teams align properly. And by this point we've got the dragon and we're pushing on the core, so this is pretty much GG. Because the ult's down, we can't add in additional Tychus damage, but we can just symbiote to be there in spirit. And that concludes in just a moment. Excellent jump there by Sonya. And there we go. That concludes the Dragon Shire episode of Ameliorated Abathur.